Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be going over what decks to play for Continentals. As you guys know, the annual Continentals, which is their nationals event for Lorcana, will be happening in January, beginning of the year. And me and Sarah were able to get some tickets for it. I was able to secure the LCQ, so I'll be attending that most likely. And she also got the attendee ticket as well. So that will be taking place from January 10th to the 12th in Anaheim, California at the Disneyland Hotel. So super excited for that. But we are also wondering what decks are going to be there at the Continentals. And luckily for you, I will be covering a couple decks that will be definitely there in high numbers and some reasons why you should play certain decks or whatever for Continentals. So today we'll be covering Amber Steel, good old favorite since set 1, hasn't really changed, it's gotten better. It's got a lot of tools over the last 6 sets. And why Amber Steel for Continentals? Well, a lot of reasons. One, it's great against the aggressive strategies and low to the ground decks. So you have a lot of songs in the deck that naturally get rid of the board state, especially early game. You have Amethyst Amber, you have the new purple bounce that's coming back again to the meta. There's so many songs that could get rid of like those 1-2 health characters, so it's really easy to clear the board. You have new cards like Twin Fire, which is basically like a 2-for-1 that could get rid of the board as well, and that could really be detrimental to a lot of the aggressive decks, so it's really good against that. Another reason to play Amber Steel is, you have so many tools against Evasive, and in this meta, there's so many good Evasive cards. Genie and Diablo are the two that really stick out as like the number 1 and number 2 cards to get rid of right away. So as soon as you see those, your opponent plays that card, you have to get rid of it. You need cards in your deck to get rid of it. So Amber Steel in general has a lot of good cards to get rid of it. You have Zeus, you have Strength. You even have cards like Imperial Bow, which your hero characters could just challenge into evasive characters. So you have really good, synergy with your Steel songs and Steel tools to get rid of evasive cards. And then also has a pretty good matchup spread. Like when you think about it, it's really good against, like I said, aggressive decks. Emerald Amethyst, which is very popular. Ruby Amethyst has a pretty decent matchup now. If you go the more aggressive route, you could steal some games against Ruby Sapphire. Against Emerald Steel, you could still have like a whole new world, so you could refill your hand. So it does have some decent matchups all across the board. So overall, it has a really good matchup spread and so many answers to all those other decks out there. Yes, you could brick a lot with the uninkable count, but you could fix that through many reasons and many ways, like mulliganing and the whole new world and stuff. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the deck. This is pretty much a combination of all the decks out there, but this is looking at specifically traditional Steel Song, which I think is a little bit more better than the aggressive builds because it has a little bit more reach, I think, against the matchup spread. We're going to go ahead and start off with the 1-drops. So the 1-drops is the classic Cinderella package. So yeah, the 1-drop Cinderella has Singer 3. She could sing all your 3-cost cards that are really important early game so that you could get rid of those 2 lore questers early. Gets rid of everything that you need, like shift targets. If you're running against mirror matches, maybe they're running a Robin Hood package, so you could get rid of that. But Cinderella, very powerful. Next is the Daisy Duck package. I think in this build it's okay to run her because against the Ruby Sapphire you still need a good aggressive start. Sometimes having 2 lore in the beginning with a Daisy Duck and maybe a Smee can be all enough to put you over the top against Ruby Sapphire. So this, yes, can get them a hand, but what's also nice is that you could play this, and then if you have a Singer Ariel on board, you could sing a whole new world. So you can give them, a whole bunch of cards to just throw away by playing Daisy and then questing, and then they have to dump a whole new hand now. So very, very cool and hard to get rid of. Next, Smees. Smee you're playing because it's the best 2 cost for, stats and value. 3/3 quest for 2, Inkable, can't really ask for anything more. You don't really use the end of the turn effect, but it's there to kind of trade up for certain cards, trades against snakes, foxes, so it's pretty much good bait for that. Alright, so the new cards from this set that was added from Azurite Sea is Calhoun. Calhoun's very strong. She has resist +1. She's also a hero, so she could get pumped up by cards like Imperial Bow, which you'll see in a bit. And then she also has the ability called Level Up. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in challenge, you gain 2 lore. This is great to kind of catch up against certain decks. If you're trying to trade the characters with your songs, she could just kind of trade up and you gain lore out of it. So it's like you're losing characters, but at the same time, you're gaining lore at the same time. So it's very reminiscent of like Super Goof or Robin Hood, where you're just gaining lore by challenging. And she has resist +1, so she's really good against, like, say, the mirror match with steel if they're running the steel song stuff, and then she kind of sticks early. And she's really good. She's uninkable, so I'm running it at 3. Another card that I'm running at 3, which you could always, adjust to your ratios, whatever you want, is Piglet. Piglet, Pooh Pirate Captain. Just another great aggressive card, really good to open up against Ruby Sapphire and those slower decks. When you have 2 or more other characters in play, it gets to +2 lore. Real simple. You need to open this up against the slower matchups so that you could kind of have a good chance of finishing quicker. Next is Lilo. She's another new card from the new set. Storyborn Hero, Quest for 2. She has an ability where it says at the start of your turn, if this card is in your discard, you may play her, and she enters play exerted. So she comes in play during the set phase. So you could just ready your ink up, play her, set her, and then just play a good value card, because if they discard this, say you're going against Emerald Steel and they have to discard a card, or even like a Whole New World, she has a lot of value. This goes into your discard pile, and then you could use it later whenever maybe a 5/6 ink, you have nothing else to do. You could play 2 cards, you could play Lilo and something else out of your hand. So she has a lot of value out of the discard pile. It's one of the few cards that interact from your discard pile or discard zone back into play. So she keeps coming back if you need it to. I don't think you need more than 2. She's inkable, but some people you could run more if you really want to be aggressive. She's really good for that. And then one other new card from this set that I don't think is in too many people's lists, but I think is worth a shot to take a look at, is Twinfire. Twinfire is an action card that says deal 2 damage to chosen character. Then you may choose and discard a card and deal 2 damage to another chosen character. So what's good about this card is that you pretty much 2 for 1 a character just by pitching a card. So if you somehow miss Cinderella with a song, sometimes you'll open up Cinderella and just have no song. That just happens. Twinfire is like your backup to kind of catch up to your opponent. Like let's say you're playing against Green Purple and they're dropping like a Merfolk and Bonsai or something like that, or so like a Chernobog and Bonsai, then you could just play Twinfire and then just wipe those 2 characters, and it just makes you catch up and it puts them way back behind the game. So it's really, really powerful to use this card to take out 2 characters. So it's good. I think it's a nice tech card. You could run it in this deck, but I think it's a good card overall in this sort of meta. Another great card I think that's great in this meta is Imperial Bow. So Imperial Bow was a card that was released in set 4. You could exert it and pay 1. Chosen hero character gains challenge of +2 and evasive this turn. You do run a couple hero characters. You have Calhoun, maybe Ariels and Cinderellas and stuff. And this pretty much helps you deal with evasive. Like I said earlier, the main targets of this meta are the 2 evasive cards, Diablo and Genie, and you need ways to get rid of it. And if you don't have those songs, if you don't have Zeus or Strength, enough characters to use Strength on it, Imperial Bow is like a nice backup. So it's a great card early on, just to kind of prevent your opponent from getting away from the game with just Diablos and Genie value. And it also has some synergy with another card later, which I'll show in a bit. Then this is traditional Steel Song, so you run 4 Ariels. Ariel, Singer 5, searches the top 4 cards of your deck. Don't really need to explain that. Then I also run 4 Lawrence. Lawrence gives you that other aggressive reach that you need, like if you open up with like a Smee and then a Lawrence, it's really aggressive. This character has no damage. He gets +4 strength, so that's really powerful. Quest for 2, so that's really strong. I like him a lot. You could also heal with Rapunzel, so you could draw some extra cards if need be. Then another 4 cards for the playset is Pete. Pete is so good in this format. I think it's really good against most decks. Good against the mirror matchup, of course. It's great against Ruby Amethyst, especially now that they're running the new Maui. The new Maui can gain a lure by play in action, and you could kind of just stop that If you play Pete's, so Pete is really powerful, and he's a 3 cost. He could sing you some songs after he's being used for his ability. So that's a very good card. I think Pete is necessary as a 4 of. Alright, so onto the song package. We run 4 strength. This helps you deal with some of the 3 strength, or the 3 willpower, 4 willpower characters. It's inkable. It's a really, really good song to use in this deck, and I think it's needed. I went down to 3 Storm Rage on because I run 2 Twin Fires, because Twin Fires serves as somewhat a similar ability. But Storm Rage on is also an inkable, so I didn't want to really increase my inkable count, which I think is already at 19, which is also pretty high. So Storm Rage on, I think, does what it needs to do. 2 damage, good against Diablo, unless it's not on a Cove, but just gets rid of Flynn Riders, like all the good stuff that you need a card to do to get rid of the 2 willpower characters. Next, I run 4 Rapunzels. She's a staple in Amber. I mean, it's one of your main card draws. You could just heal a whole bunch of stuff so that you protect them from, obviously, trades, but also protection against Gogo. Gogo Tamago is also a menace in this set, because she could just gain lore equal to the damage on your character, and if you're trading and you leave like your Lorns open up with 3 damage on it, then Gogo could just gain 3 lore. So Rapunzel is a way to kind of prevent that from happening. I know a lot of people are also playing Baymax for that same reason too, so that you could kind of heal the damage so that Gogo pretty much gets no value. So Rapunzel is still very good in this format, and I think it's needed as a 4 of, even though she could get brawled, but every card does, but you need a runner so that she could also heal and keep you up with a card parity against other decks. Another new card from the new set, which is so good, Pluto. Pluto is actually a really, really good card. It's a 1/5, but while this character has no damage, he gets +4 strength, so it's a 5/5. So it's similar to Lawrence in a way. Doesn't quest for that much. It's a turn later, but it's still very powerful. You could protect your Ariels, you could protect your Lawrences, your Smees, whatever, because of the bodyguard. They're going to have to get rid of this somehow by doing, like, sending in one of their Ursulas or something to damage us, and then trading it with Fox or something like that, which is fine. You know, you're trading 2 cards for that. But Pluto is very powerful just for the ability to protect your singers so that you could sing next turn. And Pluto can also sing. He could also sing the next coming card, which is Along Came Zeus, which I think is also needed in this set. Zeus could take out Pluto. Zeus could take out any of the 5 strength or 5 willpower characters. It's a good way to get rid of Genie, like if you don't have the Imperial Bow. There's so many cards that this could hit, and also I think Maui Shark is also 5 willpower. I'll double check that, but also you could just sing with Ariel and Pluto, so it's a good card overall, and I wouldn't mind pumping this up to 3 if you guys got the space for it. Then I also run the following song, Whole New World. I run it as 3, you could run it as 4. Sometimes you just don't want to give certain matchups more of a hand size, especially if they could just get their answers. So it's still good against certain matchups, and you could find your answers too against certain decks where you could just draw into more songs. If you have a couple singers in play, then it's worth to do a Whole New World, but it's there to help you get your hand back and then potentially go wide with the board. And then rounding off, I also run 3 Cinderellas. She's a big bomb of the deck. She could shift on turn 5. She has resist +2, and then when you sing a song, she could challenge any ready characters this turn. So even against like a Prince John or characters that they're keeping unexerted, maybe like Alice, they're trying to protect it for the next turn, the Sapphire one. Anything with a ward that's really annoying, like Muses or something like that, they could just sing songs, get rid of it, and Cinderella could still quest for 3. She's also a hero, so you could pair this up with Imperial Bow and just take out any crazy evasive card in return. But yeah, you're mostly there to quest for 3, get that big trade value out with the 5 strength, and hopefully be aggressive enough to win by then. And then the one card that I have as a tech card is a new card from set 6. It's Wreck-It Ralph. He is a 6-cost 4/4 hero. Quest for 3, and then whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item or location to gain 2 lore. I think this card is very spicy, very underplayed at the moment, and reason so is because it's a 6 cost and it's uninkable, so you're less likely to see it and play it, but you're playing a whole new world, so you could get this card if you really want to. And when you do have like a deck that has an item or location, such as like Sapphire Steel or Ruby Sapphire or Ruby Amethyst, get rid of their locations, you gain 2 lore, so you're going to be gaining 5 all from there. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item or location. You could even banish your own, so if you do have your Imperial Bow out and you don't need to use it, then you could just banish your own, so they don't even have to have any of that stuff out. You could just kind of clutch the game from there. So I like that card. I think it's not explored enough, but you could definitely check it out. But yeah, overall, I think this deck has a very strong matchup against mostly everything in the meta, and I think it has a good chance of maybe winning even Continentals, depending on how the deck build is. And of course, this is just strictly for Steel Song. You could obviously build it more aggressive, like how Boomy Jr. does. Shout out Chicagoland area community. You could also build it like Decandio, which is a little more aggressive too as well. Or you could just be traditional like Bivens and just play traditional Steel Songs with a little bit of spice, like Wreck-It Ralph. So there are many ways to build Amber Steel, which I really like in this format, and there's a lot of tech cards that you could use. But I think this deck has a lot of tools against the meta currently, against purple-green, against even other steel decks, aggressive decks, against all the evasive stuff running around. So I definitely picked this up, play tested a lot, because it's not an easy deck to learn. There are a lot of lines of play, especially for singing the song, inking the right cards, and taking out certain characters with your songs. So give it some practice, but I definitely think this is one of the best decks to run for Continentals. If you guys like what you hear, please give a sub and like. I am on my way to 1,000 subscribers. Hashtag Aladdin1K if you guys want to get in the giveaway. Link in the comments below. See you guys in the next video.